This is JordanTower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe, and let's get right into the news. All right, so we got Ed Lover goes off on Dr. Umar Johnson. He was recently on the Joe Budden podcast and said that Eminem cannot be the best in hip-hop because he's not African, okay? And Ed Lover makes the point that who are you and how did you get your doctor? Where'd you get your doctorate from? What makes you a doctor? And what makes you a spokesperson for hip-hop music, right? Because he makes the point, and I'll play this, but he makes the point that hip-hop, yes, it was created by black people, right? And it was a great thing because it brought people together, and it was inclusive, right? It's brought people from all different cultures and races together, and it's actually like it's a real beautiful thing. You know, I know I hesitate because recently it's turned into the past decade. It's still beautiful aspect to it, but now there's the Chicago stuff, the drill stuff. It's turned gang stuff has really infiltrated. Gang stuff's been involved in it, but it's even worse, you know. But it's still a beautiful thing, and if you got a chance to experience like underground and commercial hip hop in the 90s, which I did at the tail end, you know, hands-on, and I would say more like early 2000s. Like, I kind of experienced it just being a kid, going to get mixtapes and stuff, but like being involved in it, I'd say like early 2000s, when I started going to college, you know, I was able to like do more stuff and like get a camera, you know. But, you know, it's a beautiful thing. All my friends are from those times, you know, like most of my, like I would say 98% of my friends and contacts are from music, you know, that we all love, you know. And Eminem, he might not be my favorite artist, but he's one of the best to put words together. In his skill set, he is the best, you know. Is he the best at making songs? Not to me, but sales-wise, he is, you know? And he's given you artists like, you know, he's given you... He's given you 50 Cent, we know that. And from 50 Cent, you get, you know, Lloyd Banks, The Game, a bunch of other people. But he's put on Obi Trice and a bunch of other, you know, what was the clique they had? I forget. But anyways, and even Joe Budden himself wouldn't have gone. That was a whole nother life for Joe Budden. You know, being down with Eminem and his clique. You know, yeah, Joe Budden had a career before that, but it gave him another extension of his rap career, hands down. Okay, Joe Budden owes Eminem more than he thinks. Let's be honest. So here's Ed Lover. And shout out to Ed Lover, the Come On Son podcast on Loudspeaker Network. I'm going to play a little excerpt from that.
He said that Eminem can't be one of the greatest of all time because he's not African American. Dr. Umar, please. Please. First of all, the one thing I want to know is, and I think I need to Google this, where did you get your doctorate? What makes you a doctor? And then, where did you come from, and what makes you an authority on hip-hop?
Now, you know, I'll continue this, but Ed Lover saying this kind of stuff, Ed Lover is a staple in hip-hop culture. He's been around since 88. Yo MTV Raps. He had a radio show. He's done so much, Ed Lover. Just look it up. To get a movie at one point, they've done... Ed Lover is a staple. He's a great guy. Okay, he's a staple in hip hop. Okay, him saying this means a lot. Okay.
No, Eminem don't need Dr. Umar to tell him that he's one of the greatest of all time because we've already have said it. Hip hop is for everybody. Hip hop might have been created by black people, but the love of music, melodies, and rhymes has spread all over this world. That's like saying Pun can't be one of the greatest of all time because he's not African American, because he was Puerto Rican. Fat Joe don't deserve to be in hip hop because he's not African American.
And that's a fact. And Fat Joe goes back to the crate digging crew or whatever. You know, it's like, you know, it's just, think about all the countries in the world united by hip hop music. I mean, it's powerful, man. It's more powerful than rock and roll or anything to me because there's so many aspects to it. You know, it doesn't exist as much now, but there was, you know, we still got the battling, right? But there used to be b-boying. That was really big. It still exists, but I'm just saying it used to be really big in the 90s and early 2000s, right? And, you know, you got tagging, which was really big and still is big, you know? And then you got DJing, which still exists today. So it's like all that stuff is like, there's so many ways to partake. Then you got videos, you got beat maker, you got so much stuff, so many things to partake in hip hop music. It's way different than rock and roll. You know, you don't have a lone drummer really in rock and roll that's like bouncing artist to artist. You know, I mean, I'm sure it exists, but it's not like hip hop where you got a producer and he's bouncing artists, and it's linking all these people together. It's really inclusive when you really think about hip hop music. It's very inclusive. There's so many ways to collaborate with one another. And Dr. Umar he's for segregation. Hip hop doesn't really stand for segregation. You know, it's more inclusive. So Dr. Umar and hip hop just doesn't mix. Let's just be honest. His way of thinking, it doesn't mix.
You weren't there, Dr. Umar, respectively. You were not there. I wasn't even there in the very, very beginning of hip hop. I wasn't there with Dougie and Mo D and the Crash Crew and Grandmaster Caz and Sha Rock. I was not there. I wasn't there. I fell in love with the music when it first came out, but I wasn't a part of it. I was on the fringes of it. On going to the light, I got on in '89. I got on right after the greatest year of hip hop albums dropping.
So yeah, shout out to Ed Lover. Make sure you go check out his podcast for the full take on it. And yeah, I agree with his take, man. I mean, MC Shan had a very similar take, and MC Shan and Ed Lover are just staples in the very early stages of hip hop. You know, like 10 years in, that's still real early. You know. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. I appreciate you guys, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Peace.